It was late at night and the hotel lobby was quiet. Most of the guests had already returned to their rooms and the staff were winding down from the busy evening. Lena, a young waitress, was finishing her last rounds of serving room service and checking on the few remaining visitors. She was known among her colleagues for her calm and attentive nature, always going the extra mile to make guests feel comfortable and respected. Her work had become more than just a job. It was a way for her to show kindness and professionalism in every small action. That night, the automatic doors of the hotel opened, letting in a figure who seemed out of place among the usual late-night arrivals. The man was unsteady on his feet, clearly intoxicated, and he leaned against the reception desk for support. The hotel staff exchanged uneasy glances. Some whispered to each other, unsure how to handle a wealthy and famous guest who had clearly overindulged. They were nervous about saying the wrong thing, about offending someone who could be important, but also wary of the potential trouble if he became difficult or unruly. Lena noticed the situation immediately. She saw that the man was trying to check in, but was struggling to speak coherently and manage his belongings. Without hesitation, she approached him with a gentle, reassuring smile. "Sir, can I help you with your check-in?" she asked calmly, her tone steady and non-judgmental. Her eyes met his briefly, and for a moment, he seemed almost relieved to see someone who wasn't questioning him or acting impatient. He nodded weakly, attempting to hand over a credit card and identification, but his shaking hands made it difficult. Lena carefully took the documents, ensuring they didn't fall to the floor, and processed his check-in smoothly. She guided him with a steady hand to a chair near the front desk so he could rest while she finalized the arrangements. Other staff members watched in silence, realizing that Lena was handling the situation with grace, making it seem almost ordinary, despite the unusual circumstances. Once his room keys were ready, Lena helped him to stand, supporting him gently as they walked to the elevator. She maintained a polite and calm demeanor, speaking softly, guiding him without condescension. She noticed the faint smell of alcohol and the fatigue in his posture, but instead of judgment, she offered understanding and reassurance. "Here we go, sir. Just a short ride up and you'll be comfortable in your room," she said. In the elevator, she made small, pleasant conversation to help distract him and ease any embarrassment. She didn't pry into why he was intoxicated or comment on his condition. She simply focused on ensuring his safety and comfort. The man, who was a billionaire and used to attention and scrutiny, found himself quietly appreciating her respect for his dignity. He had encountered many people who either treated him with excessive deference or suspicion, but Lena treated him simply as a human being who needed help. When they reached the room, Lena helped him sit on the edge of the bed and ensured that the door was secure. She guided him to a glass of water, arranged his belongings so he wouldn't trip, and made sure he was settled. She gave clear but gentle instructions for the evening, suggesting he rest and offering to call if he needed anything. "If you need anything at all, just press the button and someone will come right away," she said. The billionaire looked at her, noticing the quiet confidence and genuine care in her manner. He had been surrounded by people who expected him to act a certain way, and many had reacted to his wealth rather than his humanity. Here, Lena had not flinched, had not made assumptions, and had not treated him differently than any other guest. It was a simple act, but it left an impression that lingered with him. After ensuring he was comfortable, Lena returned to the lobby to finish her remaining duties. The other staff members exchanged whispers again, this time with a tone of admiration. They realized that Lena had handled a potentially complicated situation with professionalism and heart, demonstrating that true hospitality was not just about following rules, but about understanding and empathy. As the night wore on, Lena reflected briefly on what had happened. She had not expected recognition or reward. She simply did what she thought was right. She knew the man could have been difficult or demanding, but she had treated him with respect and care, believing that everyone deserved dignity, regardless of their status or condition. Her focus had been on kindness, patience, and ensuring the situation was handled smoothly for everyone involved. Unbeknownst to Lena, this single act of professionalism and empathy would set the stage for an unexpected turn in her life. The billionaire would remember not just the incident, but the qualities she had displayed: attentiveness, respect, and the ability to handle a challenging situation gracefully. While it seemed like a normal night in the life of a hard-working waitress, It was the beginning of a chain of events that would change her life in ways she could never have anticipated. The quiet of the night enveloped the hotel, and Lena completed her rounds, restocking supplies, and ensuring that the few remaining guests were comfortable. She finally prepared to leave, tired but satisfied with her work. Her mind was focused on the immediate responsibilities she had fulfilled, not knowing that the impression she had made that night would ripple far beyond the lobby. The billionaire now settled in his room, reflected on her presence, recognizing that true professionalism and humanity were rare and invaluable qualities. By the time Lena walked home that night, the city lights glimmered softly around her, and she felt a sense of quiet accomplishment. She had done her job with care, treating a guest in need with dignity, and had managed a potentially tricky situation with grace. Little did she know that the simple act of helping a drunk billionaire to his room would be the first step in a remarkable journey that would soon transform her career and her life. It was a night that seemed ordinary to her, but for the billionaire it was unforgettable, and it was only the beginning of what was about to unfold. A few days after that quiet night at the hotel, Lena continued her regular routine, serving guests, handling requests, and ensuring the lobby and dining areas ran smoothly. Life felt ordinary, but the memory of the billionaire lingered in her mind. Not because of who he was, but because of the unusual intensity of the night and the subtle gratitude she sensed in his demeanor. She didn't expect anything to come from it. She had simply done her job with care. Then one afternoon, the hotel manager approached her with a message. The billionaire wanted to speak with her in person. Lena felt a sudden rush of curiosity and apprehension. She hadn't imagined that helping a guest would lead to a personal meeting. She took a deep breath, straightened her uniform, and followed the manager to a private lounge in the hotel. The billionaire was seated comfortably, looking far more composed than during their first encounter. When he saw Lena, he rose and extended a hand, greeting her warmly. "I wanted to personally thank you for the other night," he said. "Most people would have either ignored the situation or treated me differently because of who I am. You handled it with respect and care, and I can't tell you how much that meant to me." Lena accepted his handshake with a polite smile, feeling a mix of pride and modesty. She replied simply, "I just wanted to make sure you were safe and comfortable. It's part of my job, and everyone deserves to be treated with dignity." He nodded, clearly impressed by her straightforward answer. He gestured for her to sit and began a conversation that would soon take an unexpected turn. They talked casually at first about the hotel, its operations, and the staff, but the billionaire gradually shifted the discussion to Lena herself. He asked about her experience, her challenges, and her perspective on hospitality. Lena answered honestly, sharing the difficulties she faced balancing long hours, demanding guests, and maintaining a positive attitude. But she also spoke about the satisfaction she derived from helping people. The billionaire listened intently, asking insightful questions that revealed his interest not in her as a server, but in her ideas, intelligence, and leadership potential. He inquired about her thoughts on improving guest experiences, managing staff, and making operations more efficient. Lena spoke with clarity, offering practical solutions she had observed during her work, from adjusting scheduling to creating small, thoughtful touches for guests that enhanced satisfaction. He was struck by her attention to detail and her ability to think strategically despite her limited formal authority. As the conversation continued, the billionaire shared his own vision for hospitality and business. He explained how he valued people who combined integrity with initiative, those who could see beyond immediate tasks and contribute to larger goals. He mentioned that he often looked for talent in unexpected places, believing that true capability was revealed through actions rather than titles. Lena listened carefully, understanding that her actions during that single night had already demonstrated exactly the qualities he valued most. He then presented an opportunity. "I have a few hotels I'm looking to improve, and I need someone who can think creatively, lead with empathy, and manage operations effectively. I see those qualities in you. I'd like to offer you a chance to get involved in a more meaningful way, helping to shape the way one of my properties operates." Lena was taken aback. She hadn't expected such a proposal, and her mind raced as she considered the implications. The offer wasn't just about a promotion or a raise. It was a chance to take responsibility, to lead, and potentially to step into ownership one day. For Lena, The idea was thrilling and intimidating in equal measure. She had never held a managerial role, let alone one that could lead to ownership. Yet the billionaire's belief in her abilities ignited a spark of possibility. She realized that the way she handled people and problems, always with empathy and respect, had opened a door she had never imagined existed. After a moment of careful thought, Lena expressed her interest, emphasizing her desire to learn, contribute, and do a good job if given the chance. The billionaire smiled, appreciating her humility and willingness to take responsibility. He explained that the next week, she would start by shadowing him in some operational tasks, observing high-level decision-making, and providing input where appropriate. He wanted to see how she handled challenges in a broader context before offering anything more permanent. Over the following days, Lena reflected on the opportunity. She was excited, yes, but also aware of the challenges. Managing operations, dealing with staff, and making strategic decisions were far beyond anything she had done as a waitress. Still, she reminded herself that she had always approached her work with care, attention, and integrity. Those same qualities would serve her well in this new context. She mentally prepared herself for the responsibilities ahead, determined to make the most of this unexpected chance. When the day came to start, Lena was both nervous and eager. She arrived early at the hotel, ready to observe, listen, and contribute wherever possible. The billionaire guided her through a day of meetings, staff interactions, and operational reviews. Lena paid close attention, taking notes, asking thoughtful questions, and offering suggestions based on her experiences. She noticed inefficiencies, communication gaps, and areas where small changes could have a big impact. Staff began to notice Lena's presence in a different light. They were used to seeing her as a waitress, reliable and professional, but now they saw her engaging in discussions with the billionaire, providing insight, and helping to solve problems. Respect for her perspective grew naturally, as her ideas proved practical and effective. Lena realized that leadership wasn't about authority alone. It was about influence, collaboration, and earning trust through competence and empathy. Throughout the week, Lena proved herself repeatedly. She suggested adjustments to staff scheduling that improved efficiency, recommended minor changes to guest services that enhanced satisfaction, and helped mediate a few small conflicts among employees, earning their trust in the process. The billionaire observed closely, impressed by her ability to handle responsibility and maintain composure under pressure. He began to consider the possibility that she could do much more than simply advise. She could lead. By the end of the week, Lena had gained invaluable experience and insight into the operations of a hotel at a managerial level. She had seen the complexity of decisions, the impact of leadership on staff morale and guest satisfaction, and the necessity of strategic thinking. She had also realized that her empathy, integrity, and practical problem-solving skills were her greatest assets. These qualities, which had seemed ordinary in her daily work as a waitress, had now become the foundation of a remarkable opportunity. As the billionaire summarized the week's progress, he smiled at Lena. "You've done exceptionally well. I can see how you think, how you approach people and challenges, and I believe you have the potential to take this further. This is just the beginning, but I am confident that with guidance and opportunity, you could lead and shape this hotel in ways that matter." Lena felt a mixture of pride, excitement, and determination. She knew that the path ahead would not be easy, but she also recognized that her actions, her integrity, and her willingness to embrace responsibility had opened doors that could change her life forever. That week had transformed Lena's perspective. She was no longer just a waitress who managed tables and served guests. She was a capable professional with insight, ideas, and leadership potential. Her confidence grew, and she began to see herself in a new light, not just as someone who worked hard, but as someone who could influence, inspire, and create meaningful change. The experience was a turning point, setting the stage for opportunities that would soon redefine her career and life in ways she had never imagined. As the following week began, Lena stepped into the hotel with a renewed sense of purpose. She was no longer just fulfilling her usual tasks. She was now participating in shaping the operations, learning from the billionaire and testing her abilities in ways she had never imagined. Each day presented challenges, from handling staff concerns to observing guest expectations and understanding financial decisions that previously seemed distant and complex. Her first task involved analyzing guest feedback from recent stays. Lena reviewed comments about service, amenities, and overall satisfaction. She noticed recurring patterns, small lapses in communication, minor delays in room service, and overlooked personal touches that could enhance the guest experience. Lena compiled her observations and suggested practical changes, such as streamlining check-in procedures, introducing more personalized greetings, and ensuring staff were attentive to subtle cues from guests. The billionaire was impressed, noting her keen eye for detail and her understanding of guest priorities. In addition to reviewing guest feedback, Lena spent time shadowing department heads. She observed how housekeeping, front desk, and dining services coordinated to maintain smooth operations. She asked thoughtful questions, offered ideas for improvements, and quickly gained respect from the team for her practical insights. Some employees were initially skeptical, unsure of a waitress offering input on managerial matters, but Lena's humility and thoroughness won them over. She treated everyone with respect, acknowledging their expertise while sharing her suggestions, which created an atmosphere of collaboration rather than hierarchy. One afternoon, a logistical issue arose. A large group of guests arrived earlier than expected, and several rooms were not ready. The staff were anxious and tensions were rising. Lena quickly assessed the situation, coordinated with housekeeping, and suggested rearrangements that accommodated the group without disrupting other scheduled services. She personally greeted the guests, explaining the adjustments politely and providing a small complimentary welcome gift to ease any inconvenience. By the time the billionaire arrived to review operations, the problem had been resolved smoothly, with both staff and guests satisfied. He was visibly impressed by Lena's initiative, composure, and ability to handle high-pressure situations. Throughout the week, Lena also worked closely with the staff to implement new processes. She introduced short training sessions focusing on communication, guest engagement, and teamwork. She encouraged staff to share their ideas and recognize their contributions publicly, fostering motivation and accountability. These small but meaningful changes improved the flow of operations and created a more cohesive, confident team. Lena realized that leadership was not just about directing others, but about listening, empowering, and guiding through collaboration. In parallel, the billionaire began discussing broader strategic ideas with Lena. He explained the importance of balancing operational efficiency with guest satisfaction, managing budgets, and planning for long-term growth. Lena absorbed these lessons, asking insightful questions and gradually contributing her own perspectives. She understood that leadership involved making decisions that affected not just the present, but the future stability and reputation of the hotel. Midweek, Lena faced a particularly challenging scenario. A high-profile guest had left a negative review online, citing dissatisfaction with room service and staff interactions. The situation could have escalated if handled poorly. Lena took it upon herself to investigate, speaking with the staff involved, reviewing service records, and identifying what had gone wrong. She then contacted the guest personally, apologizing sincerely, explaining the corrective actions taken, and offering a complimentary stay as a gesture of goodwill. The guest was impressed with the prompt, thoughtful response and updated the review to reflect the resolution. The billionaire noted that Lena's approach combined accountability with empathy, a rare combination that could transform any organization. By the end of the week, Lena had established herself as a trusted collaborator. She had demonstrated the ability to observe, analyze, and implement improvements across multiple aspects of hotel operations. Her focus on people, both staff and guests, set her apart from purely procedural approaches. She was learning to balance empathy with authority, listening carefully while making decisive, informed choices. Beyond operational tasks, Lena began contributing to long-term planning. She suggested minor renovations to improve guest comfort, proposed packages and promotions to attract different customer segments, and brainstormed ideas to enhance the hotel's reputation in the community. Her insights were practical, realistic, and focused on creating meaningful experiences rather than superficial changes. The billionaire praised her perspective, acknowledging that her frontline experience gave her a unique understanding that could not be learned solely from books or theory. As Lena's confidence grew, so did her ability to inspire others. Staff began approaching her with questions, ideas, and feedback, seeing her as approachable yet knowledgeable. She encouraged an open-door culture, reinforcing the idea that every voice mattered in shaping the guest experience and operational efficiency. Her leadership style emphasized respect, collaboration, and personal accountability, which created a motivated and engaged team. Each evening, Lena reflected on the week's progress. She realized how far she had come in just a few days, learning to navigate complex decisions, building relationships with staff, and gaining a deeper understanding of the hospitality industry. The Billionaire's mentorship was invaluable, but Lena recognized that her own qualities, patience, empathy, attention to detail, and strategic thinking, were the real drivers of her success. She had discovered that leadership was not a role imposed by a title, but an influence created through consistent actions, integrity, and care. As the week concluded, the Billionaire scheduled a private meeting with Lena. He expressed his admiration for her performance and reassured her that her potential was evident. He explained that the next step could involve more responsibility, possibly leading to a managerial or ownership role if she continued to demonstrate competence and vision. Lena felt a mixture of excitement and humility, aware that this opportunity was rare and that her actions in the coming weeks could define the trajectory of her career. Walking home that evening, Lena reflected on the transformation she had experienced. What had begun as a simple act of helping a drunk guest had led to an invitation to participate in hotel operations, a chance to demonstrate her abilities, and the opening of doors she had never imagined. She felt a deep sense of gratitude, not only for the Billionaire's trust but also for the clarity she had gained about her own capabilities. She understood that her dedication, empathy, and professionalism were her most valuable assets, and she resolved to continue applying them fully, knowing that they had the power to create extraordinary outcomes. The week had taught Lena that opportunity often arises from ordinary moments when one acts with integrity and care. Her journey was just beginning, but the foundations were laid. She had proven her competence, earned respect, and shown that leadership was not about position but about actions and character. The hotel, the staff, and even the Billionaire had begun to see her as someone capable of influence, decision-making, and meaningful contribution. By the end of Part 3, Lena had not only demonstrated her capability in managing hotel operations, but had also earned the trust and respect of both the Billionaire and the staff. Her blend of empathy, intelligence, and initiative had created a pathway toward greater responsibility, setting the stage for opportunities that could change her life forever. The ordinary waitress who had once simply guided a drunk billionaire to his room was now seen as a potential leader, someone who could take ownership and shape the future of the hotel in ways that mattered deeply to both people and business. The days following Lena's successful first week in the hotel's operations were filled with a mix of excitement and hard work. She now had responsibilities that touched every corner of the hotel, from housekeeping schedules to guest services, staff management, and logistical planning. Every decision she made had consequences, and she understood that her actions were no longer isolated. They impacted the entire operation. One of Lena's first major projects involved improving guest satisfaction. She noticed that while the hotel offered excellent amenities, there were minor inconsistencies that affected the overall experience. Some rooms were not consistently prepared on time, certain requests were overlooked, and the check-in process occasionally caused delays. Lena took the initiative to streamline these processes. She created a checklist system for housekeeping, organized a rotation for staff to cover peak hours efficiently, and implemented a simple communication protocol to ensure guest requests were noted and addressed promptly. Lena personally worked alongside staff during peak times to understand the challenges they faced. She observed the front desk team during busy check-ins, the dining staff during high-traffic meals, and housekeeping as they navigated tight schedules. She spoke with each employee, asking about difficulties and listening to suggestions. Her approach was hands-on yet respectful, making staff feel valued and heard. Over time, these small but consistent efforts began to show results. Check-in lines moved faster, rooms were ready on time, and guest requests were handled with a higher level of efficiency and care. Meanwhile, the Billionaire continued mentoring Lena, providing insight into high-level management and strategic decision-making. He explained the importance of balancing short-term operational needs with long-term growth goals. Lena learned about budgeting, revenue planning, and how small operational changes could significantly affect profitability. She absorbed these lessons quickly, applying them practically in her daily work and offering suggestions that aligned with both efficiency and guest satisfaction. One afternoon, a particularly challenging situation tested Lena's leadership. A VIP guest had arrived unexpectedly, and there had been a double booking of premium suites. The staff panicked, unsure how to handle the situation without upsetting the guest. Lena quickly assessed the options and proposed a solution. She rearranged room assignments, upgraded the guest to a suite with added amenities, and coordinated with housekeeping to prepare it immediately. She personally greeted the guest, apologized for the confusion, and ensured the guest felt welcome and valued. The problem was resolved smoothly, earning praise not only from the guest but also from the staff, who admired her calm, decisive, and empathetic handling of the situation. Her ability to manage crises with poise quickly became recognized throughout the hotel. Staff began approaching her for advice, and she encouraged collaboration rather than issuing strict directives. She emphasized the importance of listening to concerns, considering multiple perspectives, and finding solutions that were practical, respectful, and aligned with the hotel's values. This leadership style fostered trust and motivation, creating a team that worked cohesively to maintain high standards and a positive environment. Beyond immediate operations, Lena began contributing to the hotel's long-term strategy. She suggested minor renovations and enhancements to improve guest comfort, such as adding better lighting in common areas, updating room amenities, and improving the check-in experience with personalized touches. She also proposed marketing initiatives to attract new clientele, emphasizing the hotel's unique features and commitment to exceptional service. Her suggestions were practical, realistic, and thoughtfully aligned with the hotel's budget and brand image. During this period, Lena also focused on staff development. She organized short training sessions on communication, problem-solving, and guest engagement. She recognized that motivated and skilled staff were the backbone of a successful hotel, and she made it a priority to invest time in mentoring and supporting them. Employees responded positively, appreciating the attention, guidance, and recognition she provided. Over time, morale improved, teamwork strengthened, and the hotel atmosphere became more welcoming and professional. The billionaire continued to observe Lena's progress with admiration. Her ability to combine empathy, intelligence, and practical problem-solving was evident in every interaction. He began discussing the possibility of expanding her responsibilities further, including the potential for ownership. Lena listened carefully, understanding that while the opportunity was extraordinary, it also came with immense responsibility. She felt ready, knowing that her experience in operations, her rapport with staff, and her insight into guest satisfaction had prepared her to take on more significant challenges. One evening, after a particularly busy day, the billionaire called Lena into his office. He expressed his confidence in her abilities and explained that he was considering transferring ownership of the hotel to her. He emphasized that this decision would require trust, dedication, and continued excellence in leadership. Lena was overwhelmed with emotion, excitement, pride, and a sense of responsibility all at once. She understood that this was a rare opportunity that had emerged from her consistent care, professionalism, and integrity. She took time to reflect on the offer. Lena thought about the challenges she had faced as a waitress, the lessons she had learned during her mentorship, and the people she had worked with closely over the past weeks. She realized that her dedication and empathy had not only helped her navigate her current responsibilities, but had also earned her this extraordinary chance. She accepted the opportunity with gratitude, determined to honor the trust placed in her. The transition was gradual but deliberate. Lena began taking on full responsibility for day-to-day operations, making decisions that affected staffing, budgeting, and guest experience. She introduced new initiatives to enhance service quality, streamline processes, and strengthen the hotel's reputation. Staff responded positively to her leadership, appreciating her fairness, clarity, and hands-on approach. Lena made it a point to recognize accomplishments, encourage innovation, and maintain an open-door policy for suggestions and feedback. Under Lena's guidance, the hotel began to flourish. Guest satisfaction improved noticeably, staff morale reached new heights, and the operational efficiency created a smoother, more enjoyable experience for everyone. Lena's approach was simple but effective. She combined professionalism with empathy, attention to detail with strategic insight, and authority with approachability. The hotel became a place where both guests and employees felt valued and respected. By the end of Part 4, Lena had transitioned fully from a waitress to a competent leader and soon-to-be owner. Her combination of skill, empathy, and vision had earned the trust of both the billionaire and the staff, positioning her to take the final steps toward ownership. The hotel thrived under her guidance, and her journey was a powerful reminder that integrity, dedication, and care in everyday actions could open doors to opportunities beyond imagination. What had started as a simple act of helping a drunk guest had now led to a life-changing opportunity, setting the stage for Lena to fully embrace her role as a hotel owner. After accepting the opportunity to take on full responsibility for the hotel, Lena approached her new role with a mix of excitement and careful thought. She understood that ownership was more than just a title. It was a responsibility to staff, guests, and the long-term success of the hotel. Her first step was to establish a clear plan for her transition from operations oversight to full ownership, ensuring that every decision she made would benefit the hotel as a whole. Lena began by holding meetings with department heads and senior staff. She wanted to understand their perspectives, their concerns, and their ideas for improving the hotel. By listening carefully, she gained valuable insights into areas that needed attention, from operational inefficiencies to staff morale. She encouraged open communication, making it clear that everyone's input was important, and that she valued collaboration over authority. This approach created a sense of trust and unity among the staff, who were now seeing her not just as a manager, but as a leader who genuinely cared about their well-being and success. One of her first initiatives was to implement a staff development program. Lena believed that a well-trained and motivated team was crucial for delivering exceptional guest experiences. She organized workshops on communication skills, problem-solving, and teamwork. She also created mentorship opportunities, pairing experienced staff with newer employees to foster knowledge sharing and professional growth. The impact was immediate. Employees were more confident, efficient, and engaged, and guest feedback reflected a noticeable improvement in service quality. In parallel, Lena focused on enhancing the guest experience. She analyzed guest reviews, identified recurring issues, and brainstormed practical solutions. She introduced personalized touches such as greeting returning guests by name, remembering their preferences, and offering small surprises during special occasions. She also streamlined check-in and check-out procedures to minimize waiting times and improve overall convenience. These changes created a more welcoming and memorable experience for guests, who began to notice the attention to detail and the genuine care reflected in every interaction. Lena also addressed operational challenges with a strategic mindset. She reviewed staffing schedules, supply management, and maintenance protocols to ensure that the hotel ran smoothly and efficiently. She encouraged staff to take initiative and make decisions within their roles, empowering them to contribute meaningfully to the hotel's success. By combining clear guidance with autonomy, Lena fostered a culture of responsibility, accountability, and pride among the team. Throughout this process, the billionaire continued to offer mentorship, providing insights on financial management, marketing strategies, and long-term planning. Lena absorbed these lessons while contributing her own ideas, drawing from her hands-on experience and her understanding of guest needs. Together, they discussed expansion plans, innovative services, and ways to enhance the hotel's reputation locally and internationally. Lena's confidence grew with each discussion, as she realized that her contributions were valued and had a tangible impact. One particularly challenging day tested Lena's leadership. A sudden storm caused flooding in parts of the hotel, and several guests were stranded in common areas. The staff were anxious and unsure how to respond quickly. Lena immediately organized the team, delegating tasks to ensure guest safety and comfort. She personally coordinated with maintenance to manage the flooding and provided clear instructions to staff on accommodating guests temporarily. She remained calm, approachable, and focused, setting the tone for the team to follow. By the end of the day, the crisis had been resolved efficiently, and guests praised the hotel for its professionalism and care during an unexpected situation. Lena's leadership had turned a potential disaster into a demonstration of competence and empathy. As the weeks progressed, Lena's role as the hotel owner became more established. She began overseeing financial planning, setting budgets and reviewing revenue streams to ensure the hotel's sustainability and growth. She explored marketing opportunities to attract new clientele while maintaining the loyalty of regular guests. Lena also looked for innovative ways to enhance services, from improving dining options to introducing wellness programs, all aimed at creating a memorable and satisfying experience for guests. Staff morale remained a priority. Lena continued to recognize individual and team achievements, encouraging a culture of appreciation and respect. She held regular meetings to discuss progress, challenges, and ideas, ensuring that staff felt heard and involved in shaping the hotel's future. Her approachable style and commitment to fairness strengthened the bond between management and employees, resulting in a motivated and cohesive team. The impact of Lena's leadership was visible not only in the operations and staff engagement, but also in guest satisfaction. Reviews reflected a noticeable improvement in service quality, efficiency, and overall experience. Guests appreciated the attention to detail, the warmth of the staff, and the seamless operations that made their stay enjoyable and comfortable. Lena's approach demonstrated that empathy, professionalism, and strategic thinking could coexist to create exceptional results. Throughout her journey, Lena remained humble and focused. She remembered the moment when she had helped a drunk billionaire to his room, and how that simple act had opened doors she never imagined. She realized that opportunities often arise from ordinary actions when performed with integrity, care, and respect. This awareness kept her grounded, reminding her that her success was rooted in consistent effort, ethical behavior, and the willingness to act with kindness. The hotel thrived under Lena's ownership. Staff were engaged and inspired, guests were satisfied and loyal, and operations ran smoothly and efficiently. Lena had transformed from a dedicated waitress into a competent and respected leader, demonstrating that talent, empathy, and dedication could lead to extraordinary achievements. Her story became an example of how small acts of care and professionalism could create life-changing opportunities. In the end, Lena stood in the lobby, observing the hotel she now owned. She saw the staff working together seamlessly, the guests enjoying their stay, and the overall atmosphere of warmth and efficiency she had helped cultivate. She felt a deep sense of fulfillment and pride, knowing that her hard work, empathy, and integrity had led her to this point. What had started as a single act of helping a guest had grown into a transformative journey, proving that kindness, dedication, and courage could open doors to unimaginable possibilities. Months passed since Lena had officially taken ownership of the hotel, and during this time, her leadership continued to shape the environment in remarkable ways. Every day brought new challenges and opportunities, and she faced each with a steady determination that inspired both staff and guests. Lena understood that ownership was not simply about authority. It was about accountability, creativity, and the ability to bring out the best in everyone around her. One of Lena's first priorities was to solidify the hotel's reputation. She recognized that guest satisfaction was key, but she also understood the importance of visibility in the market. Lena worked with marketing professionals to highlight the hotel's strengths, its attentive service, comfortable accommodations, and welcoming atmosphere. She implemented social media campaigns showcasing the unique experiences guests could enjoy, and she encouraged staff to contribute ideas for promotions and community engagement. This inclusive approach not only increased the hotel's visibility, but also strengthened the sense of ownership and pride among the team. Lena also introduced sustainability initiatives, understanding that modern guests valued environmental responsibility. She implemented energy-saving measures, encouraged recycling and waste reduction, and worked with suppliers to source eco-friendly products. Staff were trained on these initiatives, and guests were informed about the hotel's efforts, which created a positive impression and reinforced the hotel's commitment to responsible practices. Lena believed that these small steps, when consistently applied, could make a meaningful difference for the hotel, the community, and the environment. Operationally, Lena continued to innovate. She noticed that certain guest services could be enhanced through technology. She introduced a mobile app for booking, room service requests, and personalized communication with staff. This improved efficiency and provided guests with a sense of control and convenience during their stay. Lena also ensured that technology did not replace human connection. Staff were trained to maintain personal attention and warmth in every interaction, blending efficiency with empathy. Staff development remained a cornerstone of Lena's leadership. She organized regular workshops, encouraged cross-department training, and celebrated achievements publicly. Employees felt valued, supported, and motivated to excel. Lena's approachable style allowed staff to voice concerns, suggest improvements, and take initiative without fear of criticism. This culture of trust and collaboration became a defining feature of the hotel, contributing to high morale, low turnover, and consistently excellent service. One day, Lena encountered a situation that would test her leadership and empathy. A guest who had recently experienced a personal loss arrived at the hotel for a stay, meant to offer comfort and respite. The guest was visibly upset and had difficulty engaging with staff or enjoying the amenities. Lena took time to speak with the guest personally, listening attentively and offering thoughtful support. She arranged for special accommodations, including a quiet room, personalized meals, and gentle reminders of local peaceful spots that could provide solace. The guest later shared heartfelt appreciation, stating that the care they received had made a significant difference during a difficult time. Lena realized that leadership was not just about operations or profits, but also about human connection, understanding, and compassion. In addition to her daily responsibilities, Lena began planning for the hotel's future. She evaluated opportunities for expansion, considering new properties, partnerships, and services that could complement the existing hotel. She conducted careful analyses of finances, guest trends, and staff capacity, ensuring that any growth would be sustainable and aligned with the hotel's values. Lena's strategic thinking demonstrated a blend of vision and practicality, showing that she could balance ambition with responsibility. The billionaire who had first entrusted Lena with greater responsibility remained a mentor and supporter. He observed her growth with pride, noting how she had transformed from a diligent waitress into a confident and capable hotel owner. Lena maintained humility and gratitude, acknowledging the lessons she had learned from him, while also relying on her own instincts, judgment, and experience. She understood that her journey was unique, built on integrity, empathy, and consistent action. Community engagement became another focus for Lena. She organized events, supported local charities, and encouraged guests to participate in activities that connected them with the area. She believed that a hotel should not exist in isolation, but should contribute positively to its surroundings. Staff became involved in these initiatives, fostering a sense of purpose and connection beyond their daily tasks. The hotel gradually became known not only for its quality service but also for its commitment to community and social responsibility. Over time, Lena noticed the cumulative impact of her leadership. Guests returned repeatedly, staff spoke positively about their work environment, and the hotel's reputation flourished both locally and online. Lena's decisions, grounded in empathy, efficiency, and strategic thinking, had created a thriving, resilient organization. She had learned that success was not a single achievement, but the result of consistent care, thoughtful planning, and a focus on people. Reflecting on her journey, Lena often thought back to the night she had helped a drunk billionaire to his room. That single act of kindness had led to mentorship, opportunity, and ultimately, ownership of the hotel. She realized that her dedication, professionalism, and empathy, qualities she had carried into every task, had been the real keys to her success. The journey demonstrated that ordinary actions performed with integrity and care could open doors to extraordinary possibilities. Lena continued to nurture a culture of excellence and humanity within the hotel. She reinforced the importance of treating every guest with respect, valuing staff contributions, and maintaining high standards of service. She also emphasized the importance of learning and adaptation, encouraging the team to embrace new ideas and continuous improvement. Under her leadership, the hotel thrived as a place of warmth, efficiency, and genuine care. By the end of Part 6, Lena had fully embraced her role as the hotel owner. She had transformed not only her own life but also the experiences of her staff and guests. Her journey illustrated the power of integrity, empathy, and dedication, showing that leadership was about actions and character rather than position or title. The hotel had become a reflection of her values and vision, a place where people felt welcome, cared for, and inspired. What began as a single compassionate act had blossomed into a life-changing journey, proving that kindness and professionalism could truly change everything.